Hi, it's Dame from Dame's Place. I thought I would do a little video to preface Saturday's story about my uncle. When he did a round, he went on a tour of the Attica prison, and I thought Kitty would be here. Kitty, you gonna listen to the story? Maybe. So I just want to do a little preface. When you're from a tiny town, a lot of you know, like, a lot of people are related, a lot of cousins. My husband's related to some of the people that I'm talking about. When I told the story the other day about working in the car dealership, it was formerly Mancuso's, but it became Heinrich's, and I talked to it. They didn't take over, they bought it, because one of the youngest son that was the owner that gave the Bills cars away, gave them Bills cars. It's like, yay, thanks for shopping here, and there was commercials and stuff. He ended up passing, and I'm not sure, he hadn't passed yet. It had been, he didn't own it for a little while, but anyway, he was nice to me. He was a lawyer, his name was Charlie, and he was good friends with my boss, Pat, at the Candlelight, and Pat Woodward, and he was the one that died breaking up. Two natives were fighting at his bar out in Oakfield at the Alabama Hotel, and he ended up dying. So I ended up quitting that job. That was like that might have been one of my last jobs in Batavia, like waitressing or anything, and then I went and worked out at the Attica Golf Club and the Attica Hotel. That was owned by another guy. So anyway, when I talk about these things, like, I know these people well. This isn't, not well, I mean, I know them well enough that I'm not judging, or these are like a long time ago. But one of the people that I talk about at that bar, I worked at the bar for 10 years, a decade, all through the 90s, and it was a little, I'm going to call it funnies, okay? And it was a little mob bar. Trigger was my boss. It was Trigger. The other people were just like regular people, right? His partner and stuff. Nice. And they would have, I worked for Trigger, and in the morning, on Saturday mornings, we had a little breakfast where all of his friends came from Philly, Pennsylvania. He had friends from New Jersey and Baltimore and New York City. He had friends from all over that would come in because he was highly involved with harness racing at Batavia Downs track. So if they were coming through for a race, or if they were coming through because their horse was racing or whatever, they had meetings on Saturday mornings at that bar. It wasn't open to the public, and it was just me, his bartender, and I was the waitress then. I became a bartender. I wasn't yet. I started as a waitress, and it was just the three of us, Trigger, me, and TC. And we took care of those breakfasts, Italian toast. The cook would be in, and we would put out big spreads, and all of his friends would come, and I'd make tons of tips, and everybody was super nice. And they were in and out by 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, when it opened for business, they were all gone, out the front or the back door. It didn't matter. And they would pick up things that Joe maybe ordered them, like he would get imports from Italy, olive oil, prosciutto, you know, he could get anything, like whatever. There was wine, there was lots of stuff that was just like specialty items from New York City and stuff that you'd want to get that maybe other places didn't carry. So, and Batavia is halfway between Rochester and Buffalo, and there's posts on my page about, like, it was a Mafia capital in the 70s. That comes to my Uncle Tom that worked in, he actually had to work, he didn't accidentally, this guy was a mob guy, and he ran numbers in Batavia. When my uncle was like 15, him and his best friend, we'll call him Philly, were playing around with his father's car, and his father had his books in the back that everybody owed him the money, all the books, bookmaking. And my uncle thought it was cool, like James Cagney or somebody like that had thrown a lit match into like an engine, and it lit it on fire, and he just thought it was like a trick and wouldn't work, he said. But he did it, and he threw the match, and it blew up the guy's car, and the books went up in flames. And my Uncle Tom had to work for 2 summers for free at Batavia Town's racetrack, the horse races. And he worked in the locker room, and then he worked like as a busboy, and everybody remembered him. All the old ladies were really nice to me because they were like, your Uncle Tom, he's so nice, and he got in trouble, but he took care of it. And then he just went on about his business and became like kind of like a bookie, but he started as a car salesman. And he wasn't just a bookie, like he was with the C team. Tommy Torpy and Tommy Taylor were his friends, and they were coming out of the AB team Mafia wars with Valenti, and they wanted to like cut ties. Valenti came, and they wanted to cut ties with the Magadinos in Buffalo. This is all around that time, and I am with my family in Rochester. I lived mostly in Batavia and Rochester at that point. I don't move to Florida till I'm 10. So anyway, or 9 or something like that. So my uncle being friends with them and married into one of those families, not that family, not like just an Italian family with a lot of connections, but they were just like restaurateurs, and his wife was like a beautiful person, and I loved her, and just he was always sad about what like he felt he had failed her, and he never got over it, never married anybody else, and he just always loved her. My Michelle, he'd say, Michelle, my belle, that song by Wings maybe, or the Beatles, Michelle. So he was gone, but he would come pick me up in Batavia, and he would always take me. And when I lived in Rochester, I would go over to his friend's house, and one of them was in Scottsville, a farm. I'm a farm in Scottsville. I'm not going to say too much more on that. And he did have those guys came. I think Sean's knocking on the door. All right, I'm going to put this up, and then we'll pick up later. Peace.